Germany's green dream, over €500 billion gone. Highest electricity prices in Europe for everyone. Cleaner air, CO2 emissions actually rose. More coal. Their last nuclear plants shut down, eliminating 4% of power. The true cost, far more complex than just a number. A dangerous dependence on gas, it grew year after year. Then, the import bill exploded, €244 billion in 1 year. Russian gas, from 55% reliance to zero in just months. This meant unprecedented price hikes for every German family and business. You'll know why. But financial strain was just one symptom. A deeper, systemic problem was emerging. Grid was failing. 1,295 interventions in 2022, costing €4.2 billion to prevent blackouts. What nobody expected was a 180% rise in grid balancing costs, from 1.5 to €4.2 billion. These escalating costs directly translated into higher electricity bills. Every German household felt the burden passed on from the grid. Critical new transmission lines like Südlink are years behind schedule. Completion now projected for 2028, exacerbating grid issues. Germany faced 192,000 power outages in 2021, average duration 12.7 minutes per customer. The grid was stretched thin. For ordinary Germans, this meant a constant threat of blackouts, disrupting homes, businesses, and essential services without warning. Grid instability isn't the only hidden cost. The energy wind's impact on industry was even more severe. Even giants like BASF, the world's largest chemical company, cut production. High gas prices forced permanent reductions in 2022. This wasn't isolated. Germany's energy-intensive industries saw production decline by 10% in 2022, a dangerous trend. 10% decline meant job losses and reduced economic output. Thousands of German families faced uncertainty and financial hardship. The threat of relocation is real. 16% of German companies considered moving abroad due to these crippling energy costs. Chemical industry alone saw production fall by 10.4% in 2022. This led to approximately 20,000 job losses. For 20,000 families, this meant sudden unemployment and an uncertain future, a direct consequence of Germany's energy policy. Yet, the government pushes for more renewables. Despite these mounting challenges, is it enough? The ambitious target, 80% renewable electricity by 2030, requiring 10 gigawatts of wind and solar capacity annually. Wind power accounted for 22% in 2022, but new onshore wind installations actually fell by 14% in 2021. Slowdown means Germany is falling behind its own green targets, prolonging fossil fuel reliance and increasing costs. Offshore wind, a key component, is also severely lagging, only 8.1 gigawatts operational by 2023, far from 15 gigawatts target. Current storage capacity is just 7 gigawatts, critically insufficient to cover prolonged periods of low wind and solar. Without enough storage, Germany remains vulnerable to Dunkelflaut dark, windless periods demanding fossil fuel backup. This reliance on backup reveals a stark contradiction. The green dream is built on fossil fuels. 2022, coal became Germany's largest source of electricity. Its share rose to 33.3%, up from 30.2%. This surge in coal was fueled by imports, 4.9 million tons, a 27% increase from far-off nations. Germany is effectively outsourcing its carbon footprint, relying on geopolitically sensitive supply chains for its green backup. The energy crisis forced a reversal. Germany reactivated coal power plants, adding 10 gigawatts to secure supply. It contradicts their own plan to phase out coal by 2038, or even 2030, a difficult paradox. For climate activists, this felt like a betrayal, a significant setback to Germany's promises for a green future. True cost of this energy transition extends beyond just electricity bills. It's much deeper. For years, the EEG surcharge added billions to bills, peaking at 6.756 cents per kilowatt hour, before finally being abolished. The average household paid €1,500 for electricity in 2022, a staggering 30% increase from the previous year. For a family of four, an extra 30% meant cutting back, less for food, less for savings, a real squeeze. Energy prices fueled a broader crisis. Inflation hit 7.9% in 2022, the highest since 1951. Everyone felt it. The government intervened with a €200 billion energy shield, capping prices to prevent total economic collapse. The shield offered relief, but added immensely to national debt, a burden for future generations of Germans. But challenges extend beyond just finances and infrastructure. There's a social and political cost too. Public discontent surged, 47,000 complaints about high energy bills in 2022 alone, a huge increase. Each complaint represented a household struggling. The human cost of policy decisions felt in every home. Even the Federal Court of Auditors warned in 2021, energy when costs were spiraling, goals at risk. Its official warning suggested the government knew the impending issues, yet they continued on the same path. So, what does the future hold for Germany's green ambitions? Can they recover? Hydrogen is the next big bet, a €28 billion package approved in 2023 for infrastructure and production. Its development severely lags, only 0.1 gigawatts operational by 2023, against a 10 gigawatts target for 2030. Taxpayers are betting billions on technology still unproven at scale, a risky, long-term investment for the future. Grid still needs more, an additional €100 billion in infrastructure needed by 2030, a 2022 study found. Another €50 billion in subsidies for industrial decarbonization to keep industries from leaving by 2030. These subsidies prevent relocation, but strengthen strain the national budget, a direct cost to every German taxpayer. Path ahead is fraught with hurdles, financial, logistical, and deeply political challenges remain. Carbon prices hit over €100 per ton of CO2 in 2023, increasing costs for fossil fuel power plants, impacting prices. Germany's public debt surged to €2.4 trillion in 2022, driven partly by massive energy subsidies and relief. Growing debt means less for public services or higher taxes, a heavy burden for future German generations. Electric vehicle targets are also far off, only 1.5 million registered by 2023 versus 15 million by 2030. Despite struggles, the Climate Fund commits €212 billion for 2024 to 2027, more massive spending to come. This massive fund is a continued gamble with taxpayer money, no guarantee of success or affordability for citizens. Green Dream isn't collapsing, but it's struggling under immense pressure, both financial and social. Germany's energy security index declined by 15% since 2010, a measurable reduction in reliability of supply. Regional disparities emerge. Bavaria, a major industrial hub, faces Germany's highest electricity prices due to grid limits. Bavarian businesses, this means a competitive disadvantage, a real threat to local jobs and prosperity. New wind turbines face local opposition, 4,000 planned by 2027, but approvals are slow and difficult. Total energy consumption fell by 4.8% in 2022, partly due to mild weather, but also reduced industrial activity. Some energy reduction progress comes at a cost, reduced industrial output and a hit to economic health. The future of Germany's energy wind hangs in a precarious balance. What will be the final outcome? Despite massive investment, Germany's CO2 emissions are still 8.1 tons per capita, above the EU average. The long-term goal, 50% reduction in primary energy consumption by 2050, an immense challenge remains. Gas electricity production fell by 14% in 2022, but coal increased, one fossil fuel replaced another. This substitution means fossil fuel reliance continues, undermining Germany's deepest green ambitions. GDP growth slowed to 1.8% in 2022, high energy costs impacting industrial output, hitting the economy. Energy intensity decreased by 1.6% in 2022, but this was largely due to reduced industrial output. Germany's public debt reached €2.4 trillion in 2022, a staggering burden for future generations.